Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner looking to completely conquer the MRCOG Part 1 exam, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking what feels like this absolute mountain of a task, and we're breaking it down into super achievable steps. We're basing this all on an incredible guide by Dr. Rubab Khalid. Honestly, her advice is a total goldmine, and we've distilled it into a strategic roadmap just for you. My goal here is to empower you so that you walk into that exam room feeling, totally bulletproof. So let's jump right in.
Okay, so here's our battle plan for today. First, understanding the MRCOG exam. Second, exam format and syllabus. Third, essential preparation resources. Fourth, crafting your study strategy. And fifth, conquering exam day.
All right, part 1, understanding the MRCOG exam.
So what is this exam actually testing? Well, it doesn't just throw random trivia at you. It's specifically assessing basic sciences for OBS-GYN at the level of a UK ST3, or Specialty Training Year 3 trainee. And here's a really crucial point from Dr. Khalid. Having some actual clinical experience in OBS-GYN is hugely beneficial. Why? Because about 25% of the questions are actually rooted in your clinical knowledge. So all that exhausting time you spend on the wards? Yeah, that literally translates to points on this test.
Okay, so you're ready to take it. How do you actually get a seat? Well, it's a very strict two-step process. Step 1, you have to get your eligibility application processed and approved. You can't just skip ahead. Only after that's done can you move to Step 2, which is the actual online booking application. Oh, and if you're wondering about when you can do this, you can literally take this exam right after finishing your internship or house job. You definitely don't need to wait years to clear this first big hurdle. The logistics of the exam are actually pretty great. It's super flexible. They run it twice a year, specifically in January and July. And no, you don't have to fly all the way to the UK. There are test locations all across the globe. Plus, here's a neat trick. If you're already grinding for your local postgraduate OBS-GYN exams, you can totally take this one alongside them. Since they both hit the basic sciences, your study time basically does double duty.
Moving on to Part 2, exam format and syllabus.
Let's look at the actual blueprint. The whole thing is split into 2 written papers, and they are weighted perfectly, 50% each. Paper 1 has 100 single best answer questions, or SBAs, and Paper 2 has another 100. That's it. No essays, no short answers, just 200 SBAs split right down the middle.
Now, I want to point out a massively relieving fact that Dr. Khalid highlights. There is no minimum score required for each individual paper. Seriously, this is huge. It means if you kind of stumble on Paper 1, it's not going to automatically sink your whole attempt. It's your overall combined score that determines if you pass. Hopefully that takes a little bit of the pressure off. Take a second to pause and just absorb this syllabus breakdown. Paper 1 is heavily focused on foundational stuff: anatomy, biochemistry, embryology, endocrinology, genetics, physiology, and stats. Then Paper 2 shifts a bit more toward applied and pathological sciences, things like biophysics, clinical management, data interpretation, immunology, microbiology, pathology, and pharmacology. The exam committee does note that these areas kind of overlap, but if you map your studying directly to this breakdown, you're going to stay incredibly focused.
Let's talk about the actual test day, because it is an absolute marathon. You're looking at a grueling 6-hour timeline. You start at 0 minutes with Paper 1, which runs for 2.5 hours. Then thankfully, you get about an hour for lunch. But right after that, boom, straight into Paper 2 for another 2.5 hours. You really have to pace yourself here. Mental stamina is literally just as important as knowing your anatomy.
All right, Part 3, essential preparation resources.
Let's build your arsenal, starting with digital resources. StratoMG is a total must-have. It's got authentic SBA resources straight from the RCOG. Next up, the Green Top Guidelines. Now, a quick warning here. The Part 1 committee definitely uses these to write the papers, but you do not need to memorize every single tiny detail like you would for Part 2. Just focus on the recommended practices. Finally, Dr. Khalid highly recommends using online video lectures to help you wrap your head around those really tricky basic science concepts that are just tough to learn from a textbook. Speaking of textbooks, the official RCOG reading list is intimidatingly long, but Dr. Khalid cuts right through the noise and gives us these 3 absolute must-reads. First, Tim Chard's Basic Sciences for Obstetrics and Gynecology. Second, revision notes for the MRCOG Part 1 by Arasudahan and Antharagan, that's from the OSST series. And third, SBAs for the Part 1 MRCOG by Andrew Sizer. Seriously, stick to these 3.
By zeroing in on these core texts, you keep your brain locked onto high-yield stuff instead of getting totally lost in the weeds.
Moving to Section 4, Crafting Your Study Strategy.
So, how do you actually prepare for this thing? Owning the books is great, but we need an actionable, daily routine to make sure you're really ready when exam day hits.
This number might actually shock you. 2 to 3. According to Dr. Khaled, because Part 1 is relatively easier than the later parts, you really only need 2 to 3 months of prep. But, and this is a big but, that only works if you can dedicate 3 to 4 hours a day to studying. Obviously, you've got to tweak that based on your own life and work schedule, but as a baseline, 2 to 3 months of hyper-focused work is the goal.
And what are you doing during those 3 to 4 hours? You're using Dr. Khaled's 3-step master study cycle. Step 1, stick to one basic science book to get your concepts perfectly clear. Step 2, dive into those OST revision notes. Step 3, bang out as many SBAs as you possibly can. It's a crystal clear daily mission. Concept, revision, practice. Just rinse and repeat.
Beyond that daily grind, here are a few pro tips. First, gather and organize all your stuff digitally. Trust me, getting used to the tech now is a lifesaver for later MRCOG parts. Next, build a realistic timetable. Don't just plan your learning, schedule your revision time too. Also, if you're going to use a study buddy, choose wisely. They need to be just as obsessed with passing as you are. Otherwise, they'll just slow you down. Finally, use exam recalls. Don't just glance at the answers, actually try to puzzle out the logic behind them to train your clinical brain.
And finally, Section 5, Conquering Exam Day.
I know this stuff sounds basic, but please do not ignore these exam day logistics. Remember that massive 6-hour timeline? You're not surviving that if you're running on empty. So get enough rest the night before, wear comfortable clothes, show up on time. Once you're sitting there, watch the clock carefully so you actually get to attempt the whole paper. And most importantly, just keep calm, deep breaths. Do not panic.
I want to leave you with this fantastic quote straight from Dr. Khaled. You can do it and just do it. You've navigated all this dense material, you know exactly what the syllabus looks like, and you have your reading list locked down. The path is right there in front of you. All it takes now is for you to commit and execute. So here's my final question for you. You've got the blueprint, you've got the resources, you know the timeline. We've totally demystified the whole process, so when are you going to book your Part 1 exam? That next window in January or July is just waiting for you. Take everything we talked about today, apply the structure, and go conquer this exam. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. And hey, happy studying!